Hello again, thanks for choosing us. Now, Ghana is finally headed to the International Monetary Fund. The decision, communicated by government Friday, comes after a long debate on the need and when to apply for the support. In the last decade, any program with the IMF has generated controversy and more overtly has become a political football. Here are some sound bites from key political actors about Ghana's bailout program with the IMF since 2015.
Not going to the IMF. Whatever we do, we are not. The consequences are dire. We are a proud nation. We have the resources. We have the capacity. Don't let anybody tell you.
Actually, I tell our members that are with high level of debt, don't wait. Don't wait. Move towards programs that would help you protect your economy. Because when capital leaves and nothing comes to guarantee stability, then countries may find themselves in a very, very tough spot.
Mr. Speaker, the yield levy is also going to help with the fiscal consolidation effort and reduce the debt levels of our country. And that also means that we are going to see an improved economic ratings and not returning to the International Monetary Fund, which is the only solution our friends on the other side have always preferred. Why don't you go to the IMF? Go to the IMF. We have shown that we have alternatives to building the economy of this country without resorting to conditionalities that will be imposed on this country. We will not go to the IMF today. We will not go to IMF tomorrow. And we are not going as long as the NPP remains in power.
But we all do know that macroeconomic stability is not an end in itself. It's a means to an end. And even sustaining that macroeconomic stability and building on that, we fail to do that. And that is why almost every 3 years and some few months, we've had to go to the IMF. And the bulk of that is from the fiscal side, borrowing. Why wouldn't the IMF ask you to put a hold on your borrowing if that is the problem, right? And right now, because interest, expense, and compensation of employees take virtually everything, you are looking at getting to the point where even to pay interest on your debt, you may have to borrow.
Economic problem.
That is nothing like, that is more or less like a Ponzi scheme, right?
Prof, it's completely avoidable. Completely avoidable if we had done the right things and heeded to good advice from our own people. Sure. And I believe that a lot of what we need to do, I mean, Ghanaians, you know, in Ghana and outside Ghana can tell you. They can analyze the problems and tell you exactly what we need to do. And for example, when I said we need a Fiscal Responsibility Act to stop this type of reckless expenditure, to control all of that, the Minister of Finance said, no, I didn't know what I was talking about. Now the IMF has come and said the same thing. They're like, oh, fine, yeah, we think we need it. We are going to do it. And I think it's rather sad, but I agree with you that I think if there is a good faith effort made, you know, at everybody, you know, from academia to the business community to industry can have, you know, their contribution to how things should be. And I think that our governments need to be open to ideas. A lot of our problems can be solved with ideas, not with money.
The federal administration knows this too well, but political posturing, empty grandstanding, and a morbid fear of their own pedestrian politicking around less serious problems of the recent past have immobilized and frozen them into action. Inaction which continues to run our economy aground and worsening the living conditions of our people by the day. And with this, I'm referring to their criticism of my administration when we decided to go to the IMF. They said it's only lazy governments that go to the IMF. And I mean, the words they said in that past have come to haunt them. So one of the reasons why they're afraid to go to the IMF is that what they said in the past will follow them.
IMF, are we going? If we go, NDC will celebrate as a defeat for the NPP. Is that
a political dimension?
Yes, but are we getting ready for IMF bailout?
So look at just a political dimension that if you go to the IMF, the NDC will celebrate. But no, we haven't reached a point where that determination can be made. Because we are now going through the process of looking at the numbers.
You are far behind. You are years and months behind. Those people should double up and follow us and know where we are. We have left them behind.
Well, external forces have an impact on all economies. The Ghana is not excluded. Our neighbor, Cote d'Ivoire, exports pretty much the same commodities that we are exporting. In fact, we now have oil, and they are trying to get oil as well. But why is it that the external forces haven't collapsed the Ivorian economy? We are just next door to them. In fact, the Ivorian economy is booming. And their budget is, they had to have another budget just because they had more money than they had budgeted. We are now going for bailout. It's a contrast.
They told all their communicators, anytime you mention Mahama or NDC, say incompetent. So you hear Baumia and Co say incompetent Mahama administration, incompetent. You've never held any responsibility anywhere near presidency before. You don't know what it is like to be president. So boy, I will take that word from Kufuor or from Rawlings because they've been there before. All of you guys have never ever come near the presidency. You know what it is to be a president? And you stand and say, incompetent Mahama administration, incompetent Mahama administration. What do you know about competence? All of them, in the offices they occupy, they should show us what competence they displayed.
When I look at the economic management team, it is quite clearly a fantastic team. Professor Jambafo, Dr. Akotose, Dr. Afriye Akoto, Honorable Alan Chiramanting, Boachi Ejaku, Ken Oforiata, Senior Minister Yao Osafo Mafu. What a solid team. In fact, can anyone remember the NDC economic management team? I'm sure they themselves cannot remember who their economic management team was.
I hear some people argue that we should go to IMF. Any government that goes to IMF has failed. And we haven't failed for the good works that we have done in this country. You should applaud Ken Oforiata. He's not well, but still, yesterday I heard them in war. All in the name of the country.
Ago, we have indeed gone for an IMF bailout.
Yes.
How do you feel? You feel vindicated?
Not really. I feel sad.
So those are the sound bites in the last few years about Ghana and the IMF program. But how many times has Ghana been on the IMF's register for bailouts, and how much have we raked in so far as a country by signing on to these programs since 1966? Well, Isaac Ufeje is a data analyst with our research desk, and he joins me in the studio to give us some more figures on this. Kofi, how many times have we been there?
Well, as there you have it, 16 times in 16 separate fiscal years, Ghana has visited the IMF, starting right from 1966 after the overthrow of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. That was May 17, 1966. And we applied for an IMF program of, $36 million. And we were given $31 million, after the program. So these are the tallest of IMF programs that we've had in this period that I'm talking about, right, from 1966 to the last one we have in 2015. That was April 3rd in 2015. That was when we had our last IMF program, where the agreed amount that IMF was supposed to give us was $664 million, of which at the end we were able to withdraw only $531 million out of the $664 million that was approved. Okay. Now, take the IMF as a supermarket that countries, banks go in for, central banks go there to shop. Now, the IMF has at least 9 different programs that when you go there, you can qualify for one of them. And if you look at the list, you realize that Ghana, we've been patronizing at least four different programs. So the first one being the standby arrangement, which we started in 1966. We've also been patronizing, the infamous extended credit facilities, which is usually for low-income countries. Now, in 2015, when Seth Terkper was finance minister, he received a letter from the World Bank or the IMF saying that Ghana has now attained middle status, meaning that when we borrow, we are going to pay interest on them. So I doubt if Ghana will actually qualify for an ECF because it's usually for low-income countries. Now Ghana is a middle-income country. Now we've been looking at the numbers. The 16 IMF programs that we are talking about, how much has government raked in since 1966? So we did the math and we realized government had raked in a total of 2.5 billion US dollars from the 16 program that they have actually gone to the IMF to subscribe to. Now, let's look at the genesis of this whole problem where going to the IMF started. That was when the finance minister actually read the 2022 budget in November. And he projected that Ghana was going to spend an amount of 137 billion Ghana cedis and raise an amount of 100.5 billion cedis. The big gap was there. That's the deficit to be financed. We asked ourselves, how are we going to finance, this almost 40 billion Ghana cedis as deficit? Now, we blame this situation on COVID and then also the financial sector cleanup. But this is the amount of money that, according to the finance minister, we picked this information from the 2021 Media Budget Review, page 99. Okay. This is the amount of money governments raked in as support during the COVID era in 2020. 19.3 billion Ghana cedis in 2020. Now, if you move to the same page 99 on the Media Budget Review that I'm referring to, 2021 budget had a support of 6.29 billion Ghana cedis. And this is in Ghana's own Media Budget Review. We are not the one, bringing out these figures. It's in the budget. You can refer to it in page 99 of the Media Budget Review 2021. If you add the two, it means that 2020 and 2021, Ghana raked in a total of 25.68 billion cedis, of income as a result of COVID.
As a result of COVID.
Exactly. Now let's do the breakdown. If we convert this 25.58 billion Ghana cedis that we raked in as a result of COVID, using today's exchange rate, this means that the 25 billion cedis we're talking about is somewhere around 3.1 billion US dollars. And since 1966 to 2015, Ghana has received a total of 2.5 billion cedis from the IMF. So Ernest, you can do your own comparison here.
So you're saying that we got more from COVID-19 in terms of support between 2020 and 2021 that we've ever received from the IMF for all the 16 programs that we've applied for.
Yeah, that's according to the finance ministry's own program, budget document, Media Budget Review document. We compare the figures from there, and you can do the comparison. From 1966 to 2015, 2.5 billion cedis. COVID-19, 2020 and 2021 support $3.1 billion. And that's actually the difference. Now, this is where the whole thing started. We've also been comparing the 2015 scenario when we went to the IMF and the 2022 scenario, what we have currently. Seth Terkper has actually disputed the fact that debt to GDP ratio was not somewhere around 66.5 percent. But this is what we got from the official document from the ministry's own summary data. So we go according to this. As at the time Ghana went to the IMF in 2015, this was the exchange rate. The CD, as of May, had lost 19.9% of its value to the dollar.
Currently, today we are doing 15.8.
15.8, Ernest. And if you look at inflation by May in 2015, that was somewhere around 16.8%. Currently, we are doing 27.6%. You can see the difference. We also look at the gross international reserve by April. This is the best measure because this will tell you your international reserve and the amount of import cover that you can do in a certain period. 4.8 billion cedis as of 2015, and it could afford us a little above 3 months of import cover. Currently, we are doing 8.3 billion Ghana cedis, but it can still just afford us 3.7 months of import cover. You can also do the debt to GDP ratio. We've been talking about the rising debt stock of Ghana and other things. Now, Ernest, Ghana has agreed to sign on to an IMF program. Now, look at this. This is the 2021 budget. Look at government's flagship program. And this is the weight of government's flagship program on our expenditure. 6.9 billion Ghana cedis. You have in there free SHS. You have in there, planting for food and job. You have in there one district, one factory. You have also in there railway development, fish landing sites. Now we are
school feeding program is also there.
It's also there.
And there's also LEAP.
It's also there. Then we can also talk about the nurses and teacher trainee allowances are also there. So we ask ourselves, when we finally sign on to the IMF program, which of these programs
will be affected?
Well,
that's what we should look forward to. Those are the questions we should be asking to the people who matter. And I guess we'll find out with time, eventually, when that decision is made, if the IMF actually agrees to this application for a program. Let's see how that pans out. Kofi, thank you very much. But